What's going on? Chris Phillips here of SEC Unfiltered, reacting live to the news that just dropped within the last 45 minutes or so as Tennessee football, this being reported by Pat Forty, is under potential NCAA investigation for NIL violations in multiple sports. And guys, as you all probably know, this is not Tennessee's first rodeo. This is not their first run-in with the NCAA. What does it mean in the grand scheme of things for the folks on Rocky Top? Guys, first things first, appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon so you get notifications of when we go live, when we drop new video content, which is every single day. Also, subscribe to the podcast, SEC Unfiltered, wherever you get your podcast, and go follow us on social media. That being said, again, Pat Forty reporting this in the last 30 minutes or so, Tennessee under potential NCAA investigation for multiple quote-unquote major NIL violations across several sports. Pat Forty wrote this, quote, "The University of Tennessee is immersed in another NCAA investigation of potential rules violations that is, quote, major, end quote, in nature, sources tell Sports Illustrated. Details are scarce on what Tennessee is potentially facing in the latest case, including the number of involved sports. How convenient the details are scarce in this one. Quote, the school acknowledged the investigation to Sports Illustrated, but declined further comment other than to say it has not received a notice of allegations from NCAA enforcement. A source familiar with the inquiry tells SI that Tennessee does not believe it has committed any violations in the NIL realm. The source cited NCAA guidance in that evolving area as, quote, vague and contradictory, end quote. Imagine that. The NCAA, vague and contradictory. Could have never guessed it. The NCAA also released a statement to Sports Illustrated. They said this, quote, with rare exceptions, the NCAA does not comment on current, pending, or potential investigations due to confidentiality rules put in place by member schools. So Pat Forty in this article continues on again to explain, let's see, the Volunteers were penalized last summer for more than 200 rules infractions in the football program. Again, many of those, if not most of those, happening under Jeremy Pruitt's leadership, which is a whole subject in itself about schools getting penalized after the fact for what another party did that was not there, and that party that was responsible not being held accountable. Either way, though, 18 level 1 violations, $60,000 in impermissible inducements and benefits for recruits. That was the investigation last summer. Now, the school is back in the NCAA's crosshairs, a recurrence that could have significant consequences. Again, guys, this is Pat Forty's article over at SI.com, again, within the last hour. He goes on to say the Vols have one of the most prominent NIL collective programs in the country, the Volunteer Club, which is operated by Knoxville-based Spire Sports Group. The Volunteer Club said it had more than 4,000 members as of early December. And the Knoxville News Sentinel reported in September that Spire Sports had struck deals with Tennessee athletes in 11 sports. It's unclear whether any of those agreements are targets of the NCAA inquiry. The most noteworthy NIL deal at Tennessee, of course, is believed to be with quarterback Nico. Should I even try to pronounce it? Nico Liaiva. I'm going to get that right at some point. Anyways, Nico, $8 million quarterback, right? We all heard about this. Guys, and I think what's funny, right? The NCAA, it's hard to give the NCAA any sort of benefit of the doubt at any point. It just is, right? Because we've seen them fumble so many situations time and time again. We've seen them fumble so many situations and so many scenarios, not just in the NIL space, but across the board. And so I cannot help but look at this and think to myself, the NCAA is a complete joke. A complete joke, because they're picking and choosing, and there's not a whole lot of detail out there as to what's even going on, why they're doing this. But they're picking and choosing what cases, right? Like, I just cannot give the NCAA the benefit of the doubt. The leadership in college football and college sports is so bad. Is so bad. And I think what's funny is seeing other fan bases laughing at this and laughing at Tennessee's misfortune. Don't laugh too hard, guys. Your school very well could be next. Because what it appears to me is the NCAA realizes they messed up. Right? They're like the guy in The Hangover, right? He calls the bridal party, he calls the bride, hey, we messed up. We effed up. Well, the NCAA realizes the toothpaste is out of the tube. NIL has run wild, run rampant, and what a shocker. Who could have seen this coming when the NCAA releases NIL with no guidelines, with no guardrails? Let's figure it out as we go. Let's make adjustments as we go. And so in Pat Forty's column, the source cited NCAA guidance in the evolving area as vague and contradictory. I believe them. I don't doubt that the NIL guidelines are still vague and contradictory. Guys, NIL wasn't supposed to be a pay-for-play, wasn't supposed to be a recruiting tool, wasn't supposed to be free agency from the standpoint of the transfer portal, going out and signing the top players, paying top dollar for the top talent. It wasn't supposed to be that. It was supposed to be, hey, I've got a mom and pop shop, I've got a gas station, I've got a car dealership, and I'm going to pay Jimmy over here $500 to run a 1-minute ad for my business. That way, I'm getting something out of the deal. Jimmy's getting something out of the deal. We shake hands and we keep it moving. What it was not supposed to be was, let's all pool our money up in this collective and let's go out there and throw $250 at this guy, $250,000, by the way, $250 at this guy, $500 at this guy, $1 million at this guy, $100 at this guy, $50 at this guy. That's not crowdsourcing, and that's not what it was supposed to be. But the lack of self-awareness of the NCAA to roll out something with no guidelines, like, what did you expect? It's like, what rules did they break? What rules even exist? What rules even exist with NIL? And if you're going to come down on a Tennessee, if you're going to come down on, you better start coming down on everybody, because everybody's doing the same exact thing. Now, what really comes of this, I think Tennessee's going to be fine. There are not, sanctions coming down. Tennessee's under investigation per Pat Forty. Has anything been found? That's probably a long ways off. We know the type of pace the NCAA moves at, which is a snail's pace. But I just, I don't care who you're a fan of. I think we can all agree the NCAA is a complete joke. The NCAA, the hypocrisy of the NCAA. And now they're wanting to come around and start holding folks accountable, holding people's feet to the fire, when it's like, you're the ones that rolled this out here with no guidelines to begin with. You're the ones that opened Pandora's box. And so, again, what happens at Tennessee? I don't know, guys. I don't know that much will happen. It'll be interesting to see if this evolves, how it evolves. But I can't help but think, when I read this story, when the NCAA starts trying to come around and hold people accountable for NIL violations, I just cannot help but laugh and think to myself, the NCAA is such a joke of an organization. And I think we're getting closer and closer and closer, guys, to the day where the Power Five, at minimum the SEC, says to hell with this. Because who needs two more? The NCAA or the SEC? Who needs who more? I think we all know the answer to that. So what happens with Tennessee football? I don't expect much, but we'll see. But one thing's for certain with the NCAA, they will drag their feet. They will drag this out. This will take forever. But it's just another example of how the NCAA created their own problem, and now it's almost like they're trying to circle back around and hold others accountable for the mess they created. Guys, that being said, appreciate you all tuning in. Like I mentioned, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you get notifications of when we go live, when we drop new video content for breaking news just like this. We will be live pretty much the moment that it happens. Also, guys, the podcast, SEC Unfiltered on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and follow us all across social media as well. And check out our work on SECUnfiltered.com for all of the latest. Appreciate you all tuning in. We will talk to you all next time.